Hi, this is Greg Ryan from Greg Ryan Fitness Global and My Farm and Next Life. Today I'd like to chat with you a little bit about the connection between nutrition and attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And one of the reasons that this is such a story for me, or a connection, is that about 15 years ago I was diagnosed with full-blown attention deficit disorder. And my backstory on this is that I was raised on a farm in Michigan, and there's a lot of debates going on now of pesticides and vaccines with different forms of attention deficit disorder and autistic tendencies and stuff like that we won't get into that debate. But I would like to talk to you a little bit about my background and my personal story a little bit. And there's 3 points that I'd like to share with you today on how I have managed the disease, if you will, of attention deficit hyperactive disorder through exercise, food, and supplementation. Years ago, a little story is that I grew up on a farm, and the funny thing is I was not the most educated person. I didn't really enjoy taking tests. I don't think anybody enjoys that, but I had a phobia that once a test was administered, that my brain would basically freeze up, and that was very frustrating to me. It had hindered my personality, and over time I believed that I was not the sharpest tool in the shed. What was really interesting was that if I took that same exam the next day with no pressure, I seemed to do very well, B's and A's throughout my experimenting of doing that. But during the test, I would sit there and, from a frustration standpoint, freeze up. And so growing up, it was challenging for me to manage what I called a very high revving engine of a brain. And my father would always kind of kid me about losing my car keys or hats or clothing, and he would say, you never can find anything, and you can't multitask, you can't talk without using your hands and all that. So I did kind of grow up with this self-image problem due to back then we kind of just chalked it up to a hyperactive kid that lived on the farm. But as I got older, I discovered exercise, and I found out that through getting physical activity, that I could slow the brain process down and I could absorb things a lot better. And so over the years, I used exercise as a managing tool to manage this brain of mine that would go 100 miles an hour, almost 24 hours, 7 days a week. And then I got medically diagnosed probably about 20 years ago with full-blown attention deficit disorder. And of course, the doctors, first thing they do is they put you on a medicine. And I grew up not having to take medicine, and we really didn't believe in it. And it literally felt like poison going into my system. And so I just hated it. I hated it. But at the time, my choices were to continue suffering from this disease or to manage it through medication. And so I chose more of a medication standpoint than anything. So between exercise and Adderall, my brain did slow down, but there was a lot of side effects to that I really didn't enjoy. Now, I also was, through the exercise, I had educated myself on the importance of eating properly, and I started researching on what type of foods that I could eat to maybe manage this attention deficit disorder with the medication. And I found that there's a type of food called antioxidants, which basically are colored foods that you eat, vegetables primarily. And that what that did was, if I ate more green vegetables, it would lower my what they call oxidated stress levels, which would in turn, in my experience, slow down the revving or the spinning of my brain. And I found that I could manage the speed of my brain based off of the amount of vegetables that I would eat on a daily basis. And this fascinated me and to many degrees. And the interesting part was the doctors wouldn't tell you that. All they did was they would want to prescribe a pill for you to take the easy way out. And I just didn't want to buy into that type of thinking. I raised on a farm. My parents would always feed me fresh green stuff, and Lord knows what my brain would be like if I hadn't done that. But over time, I had educated myself on exercise and the importance of eating more green vegetables to lower my oxidated stress levels through antioxidants in vegetables and things like that. And then one thing that happened about 4 years ago is I ran across a piece of technology called the biophotonic scanner that was created through a company called Pharmanex that measured the oxidative stress levels in your body. And I thought that if I could take this piece of technology in a combination of measuring a person's oxidative stress levels and their ADHD, and then incorporate some type of nutritional program in with that, I figured that I could possibly help a lot of people around the world who suffer from some of the same things that I have suffered from over the last 45 years. And so we implemented this biotechnology into my everyday eating habits. And lo and behold, over a period of about 6 months or so, in a combination of a supplementation that we will talk about here in a minute, I rid myself of all the medications that I had been on for years. And that was a goal of mine, that if I could live the rest of my life medicated free and use nutrition and exercise as a catalyst to manage what most people would call a disease, I personally wanted to turn it into some form of gift, an educational system for other people who suffered the same. So through exercise, eating more green vegetables, and a supplementation called Life Pack Nano that was created through this company called Pharmanex, that was designed with high micronutrients, a huge conglomerate of antioxidants, and a technology called nanotechnology that would break up the molecules of that supplementation in your food that would absorb better. It got into my system, and lo and behold, over a couple months period of time, my oxidative stress scores on my cellular level was cut in half, and my ability to go off all of my medications was created. And lo and behold, I didn't plan on the medication standpoint, but I did know that nutrition played a big role in that. So that was 3 years ago, and today I have been medicated free for all these months. My oxidative stress levels stay very low, and one thing I will add is that some of the byproducts of not having medication is that I will occasionally write a book. I write books for a living, and I do a few other things. And I noticed that my book sales have increased because of not having to take medication. My personal relationships have grown because of that. I have also been able to sleep, and on an average of 2 hours less a night. and very rarely will need to have an alarm clock to wake up. Now, that's very significant for me because growing up, I required a lot of sleep. By the time 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. rolled around, I was exhausted physically. My brain had exhausted my physical body. And I definitely needed somebody to wake me up because in the morning hours. And now, again, I sleep 2 hours less a night. My writing skills have drastically improved, which shows in my book sales. I sleep 2 hours less a night, and my relationships have been growing stronger ever since. So for me, that was a lifesaver. Between the exercise, understanding that antioxidants, basically fruits and vegetables, would lower my oxidative stress levels, and to incorporate a supplementation that would absorb into my system a little bit better. These were the three combinations that I have used that I would like to educate families that have children who have attention deficit disorder. Adults are growing leaps and bounds with it. It is a real problem. People think that, well, it might be over-exaggerated, and I think maybe in some cases it is, but it is a problem in today's society, no matter how you want to spin it. And for me, it's a personal thing because I have had to deal with this from the very day that I was born until now. And it's my goal through some of these digital formats of podcasting and YouTube that I can educate the families that there is hope for your children and for your families with people that suffer from attention deficit disorder in any form or another. And you're listening to a person that has personally managed this disease through exercise, supplementation, proper nutrition. And if I can help in any way to any of your families, you can reach out to me at gregryanfitness@yahoo.com, and I can, again, share my story with you and your family and help you out. So today, thank you for joining me to talk a little bit about the connection between nutrition and attention deficit disorder. This is Greg Ryan from Greg Ryan Fitness Global and My Farmer Next Life saying have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.